Let me show you why Taylor Swift is a great songwriter who has a masterful command of her craft. By the way, this is part 4 and the final part of my analysis of her song So Long Linden and why I think this song is a masterclass in songwriting. My perspective is one of a songwriter and a former English teacher. In parts 1, 2, and 3, we dissected the meaning of the lyrics. Now let's look at the technical aspect of Taylor's songwriting. We're really going to get into the weeds here, but if you want to see the level of craft in Taylor's songwriting, this is it. And let me preface this by saying the songwriting techniques that we're going to see in this song are universal to all good songwriters. But I want to talk about it because when it comes to Taylor Swift, I think some people are quick to dismiss her validity as an artist and a songwriter. Maybe because of her genre, maybe because they consider the subject of her music at face value to be frivolous, maybe the music doesn't align with their taste, or maybe they just don't like her persona. But objectively speaking, when you look at the construction of a song such as So Long Linden, it's clear that Taylor is very good at her craft. So with So Long Linden, we have a song that's overall pretty lyrically dense. She packs a lot of words into these verses. But somehow the song flows beautifully, it doesn't feel clunky, and it's memorable and easy to catch on. This was possible because Taylor built this song with a very strong and solid structure. And she achieved this by having 4 sturdy pillars of melody, rhythm, rhyme, and repetition. When it comes to the melody, the pattern stays exactly the same in all 3 verses, which goes da 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 da. Usually artists will make at least minor changes to the melody in the second or later verses just to switch things up and add some interest. But in So Long Linden, Taylor keeps the melody pattern exactly the same. No ad-libs, no runs, no change-ups. She does the same thing with the phrasing and rhythm, repeating the same exact phrasing pattern in all 3 verses. And it goes da 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 da. What's more, she adheres to a strict syllable count. Each stanza of the verse has 3 lines. The first 2 lines have 10 syllables, and the third line has 12 syllables. And by the way, we're counting on the downbeat. So for example, in verse 1, it would be, I saw in my mind fairy lights through the mist. I kept calm and carried the weight of the rift. Pulled him in tighter each time he was drifting away. This phrasing pattern and lyrical rhythm is repeated in all 3 verses. By keeping the melody and rhythm exactly the same throughout the verses, Taylor enables 2 things to happen. 1, the repetition makes the song easy to learn and easy to remember, and more likely to get stuck in the listener's head. 2, keeping the melody and rhythm consistent makes the bed for the more complex lyrics. The listener is able to better follow the lyrics because they don't have to keep up with any changes in the melody or rhythm. If the melody and rhythm did change throughout the song along with the lyrics, the listener would be at risk of getting overwhelmed or lost. Taylor adds even more strength and stability to this song structure with her rhyme scheme. She uses an AAB-CCB rhyme scheme, where the first 2 lines of a stanza end in a rhyme. In verse 1, mist rhymes with rift, and hill rhymes with chill. And she has the last line in these 2 stanzas end in a rhyme with away and safe. We see this repeated in verse 2, where again the first 2 lines of each stanza end in a rhyme, out and about, use and to, and the last line in these 2 stanzas end in a rhyme with heath and free. In verse 3 we see this again. The first 2 lines end in a rhyme with clues and proof. Here, instead of another 3 lines, Taylor uses a couplet, which are these 2 lines. Because this is a verse that leads into the ending chorus, the couplet here actually gives it more emphasis. So we have both lines of this couplet end in a word that rhymes with the last word of the first stanza. So we have days, face, and place. Now this is where it gets interesting. If we look closer, there's actually a second rhyme scheme, where the 10th syllable in each line of a stanza rhymes with one another. In verse 1 we have mist, rift, drift, and hill, chill, drill, and so on. This is incredible, meticulous work, and the result is that both of these consistent rhyming patterns allow the listener to anticipate what's coming, and the lyrics feel expected and satisfying. All the repetition that's in the melody, rhythm, and rhyme together builds such a strong structure that the listener is able to lock in and flow with the song. But Taylor actually goes one step further. She uses repetition on a micro level within the lyrics themselves to further reinforce the song's cohesion. In verse 1, we see her do this by using alliteration, which is when words that are next to or close to one another begin with the same sound. In line 1, we have, I saw in my mind fairy lights through the mist, repeating the M sound with the words my, mind, and mist, which actually emphasizes what she's saying and makes this line stronger. Imagine if she had written, I saw in my head fairy lights through the fog. It just wouldn't be the same. We see alliteration again in line 2. I kept calm and carried the weight, repeating that hard K sound in kept, calm, carried. And again in line 4, my spine split, repeating the S sound. Aside from alliteration, Taylor also uses internal repetition within the lines themselves. She repeats the W sound in the line, wet through my clothes, weary bones caught the chill. She repeats the phrase, I stopped trying to, in the line, I stopped trying to make him laugh, stopped trying to drill the safe. In verse 2, we have repeating O vowel sounds in I didn't opt in to be your odd man out. And again, a repeating phrase in I left all I knew, you left me at the house by the heath. This consistent repetition of sounds and phrases acts like glue that binds all the lyrics together. And when you combine that with a solid overall structure built on the melody, rhythm, and rhyme that we talked about before, that's how a song like So Long Linden is able to feel cohesive and flowing, even as it is lyrically dense. I could go on about this song, but I think I'm going to stop here because there are actually other songs I would love to talk about from the Tortured Poets album.